The college entrance exams were just around the corner when a man, covered in cement dust and wearing worn-out work boots, gave my mom $12,000. Add another $2,000 to the bride price, and I'll take my wife tonight. Dressed in a wedding gown, tears streamed down my face. But he forcibly pushed me into a van. What are you crying for? Get to your exams. If you don't get into a top university, don't even think about coming back. The countdown to the college entrance exams had begun. The school had announced a break for the second and third, so we could rest. I didn't want to go home, but Mom insisted. Yanin, your father and I got you a good luck charm for academic success. You must come back. Little did I know, this return would plunge me into an endless abyss. As soon as I got home, Mom, with a solemn face, told me to rest in my room. Though I found it strange, I was exhausted from the 2-hour bus ride, so I lay down. To my shock, she took my phone and locked my bedroom door. Mom, what are you doing? Mom stood by the window, a triumphant look on her face. Yanin, the matchmaker will be here soon to discuss a proposal. Go on, get yourself ready. My world shattered. Aunt Agnes's grating voice drifted in. Martha, you're doing the right thing. Yanin is still young now, you can control her. Once she gets into university and goes to the big city, she definitely won't come back. Then there'll be no money for Dominic's wedding. Look at old Mr. Wilson's youngest daughter from the next village got all high and mighty after university. Not only did she refuse to contribute a penny to her brother's wedding, but she even wanted to take her dowry money with her. Tusk, what a total loss. The Dominic Aunt Agnes mentioned was my younger brother, 3 years my junior. In our rural village, it seemed a girl's worth was determined by her birth. When I was little, Mom told me, you're to save up for your brother's house and his wedding. I didn't understand then, only saying firmly, I'll work hard, earn lots of money, and buy a house for my brother. I just never imagined that the buying they spoke of was predicated on selling me. In the living room, Dad chain smoked one cigarette after another. My mom and a few aunts were busy preparing food, welcoming the impending matchmaker. Martha, you've played your cards brilliantly. Yanin's grades are so good her high school tuition was waived. You've even profited quite a bit these 3 years. There aren't many girls finishing high school these days, and Yanin is still a maiden. You'll surely get a handsome bride price, won't you? Aunt Agnes's fawning expression filled me with utter disgust. My journey through high school hadn't been easy. When I graduated from middle school, I was first in our town and got into the county's magnet high school. Most of the tuition was waived. I only had to pay $300 a year. My mom vehemently refused to let me go. Later, my middle school form teacher helped me find a private high school that not only waived all tuition, but also offered an annual scholarship of $200. Only then did Mom reluctantly agree. However, I never spent a penny of that scholarship money. Instead, it all went to my brother's numerous tutoring classes. I consistently excelled in high school, usually ranking in the top 3 of my year. Mr. Harrison, my form teacher, said that with my grades, getting into a top-tier university was no problem. And if I performed well, I could even aim for an Ivy League school. But now, even the chance to take the exams was being snatched away from me. My tears had long run dry. I pounded on the door, kneeling and begging my parents, Mom, Dad, I promise I'll marry him, just please let me take the exams first. My mom looked at me coldly, as if I were never her biological daughter. Exams? You're not worthy, the fortune teller said. If you take the exams, you'll steal Dominic's luck. Only then did I realize everything was to pave the way for Dominic Hawthorne. Ever since we were little, I had always given in to him with food, toys, and everything else. Now, even with the college entrance exams, was I supposed to give in to him too? One group of suitors after another came to the living room. Even that 50-something old bachelor from the village entrance showed up. When he heard my mom wanted a $10,000 bride price, he left, cursing. I had just turned 18. Around here, that was prime marrying age. According to my mom, once a woman passes 22, she's not worth much. So she was eager to marry me off to get a good price. The first to formally bring a matchmaker was the village's newly rich man whose wife had just died. He was the wealthiest man in the village, but he was almost 40, only a few years younger than my dad. He was willing to pay a $10,000 bride price. My mom's eyes instantly lit up, but my dad was a bit reluctant. We can't marry Yanin off to a man almost her father's age, can we? The subsequent men couldn't offer 10,000. The highest was 8,000. The newly rich man placed 10,000 in cash on the coffee table, looking determined to have me. My pleas to heaven and earth went unanswered. Until Silas Stone, my neighbor who was 3 years older, passed by our door. He wore a set of gray work clothes, his trouser legs splattered with cement, and his work boots were scuffed. I'd heard he went to work on construction sites after graduating from middle school. He glanced at me, then walked into the living room. Was he here to propose too? I'll offer 11,000. Let Yanin come with me now, and we'll consummate the marriage tonight. Silas's voice was a bit hoarse, and my heart skipped a beat hearing it. The surrounding ants teased him. Our little Silas is in such a hurry, so young and vigorous. Slow down, Silas. Our Yanin doesn't know anything yet, my mom grinned, wrinkles piling up on her forehead, and said, 12,000, not a penny less. Silas hesitated for a few seconds, then nodded. Was he really that desperate to get married? My mom stood with her hands on her hips. Cash or transfer, get the bride price out first. Silas took out his phone. Transfer. He fumbled with it for a while, and finally my bedroom door opened. A few ants pushed me into Silas's arms. Yanin has found a good family. Don't forget your own folks when you get rich. When your brother gets married, you have to help him out a lot. They looked as if they wanted to devour me. I was trembling so hard from crying that my legs gave out. I couldn't stand and could only cling to Silas. He looked at me, bent down, and directly hoisted me onto his shoulder. My mom tossed me a red bridal veil, obscuring my vision. Just like that, I was married off. The summer sun stung my skin. I lay on Silas's shoulder, crying and gasping for breath. Soon, he tossed me onto a bed. I grew even more terrified. He wouldn't, right now. He ripped off my veil and grinned at me, a roguish look on his face. Sometime, somehow, he had changed out of his work clothes into a t-shirt and shorts. He leaned lazily against the white wall, frowning slightly, casually smoking a cigarette. I hate the smell of smoke, I said softly. Unexpectedly, he immediately stubbed out the cigarette. Sorry about that. Now, I felt even more awkward. Yanin, go take a shower. My nails were digging into my palms, and my body started trembling uncontrollably again. Hurry up, the van I called for will be here soon. You're not going to sell me to someone else, are you? I panicked even more. He gently tapped my nose. What's going on in that little head of yours? Aren't you about to take your college entrance exams? Hearing college entrance exams, I cried even harder. He seemed a little agitated, hands stuffed in his pockets. What are you crying for? Get to your exams if you don't get into Harvard. Don't even think about coming home. I stood there stunned, looking at this close-cropped-haired man who hadn't even finished high school. What did you say? His agitation seemed to grow. He said fiercely. I said, go take your exams. Are you deaf or what? Will your English listening comprehension even be okay? His words suddenly gave me courage. My English score can reach 140. I'm always first, but my ID card was taken by my mom. The hope that had just ignited was extinguished again. Silas frowned at me, looking as if I were a lost cause. Are you stupid? Can't you ask for your own things back? So weak, you'll be eaten alive by society sooner or later. As he spoke, he lit another cigarette. I stared at the glowing tip between his fingers, lost in thought. Suddenly, as if he'd done something wrong, he threw the cigarette on the ground and stomped it out forcefully. I didn't really want to smoke. My hand just gets itchy. After saying that, he even slapped his left hand with his right hand 3 times. The back of his left hand quickly turned red. This 6-foot-tall man making such a gesture was actually quite endearing. I couldn't help but chuckle. His frown relaxed. Yanin, you just need to smile more. Quick, go shower and pack up. I'll go get your things back for you. I'll take you to school in a bit. I agreed sweetly. When I came out of the shower, my ID card was on the coffee table next to a bowl of fresh, large cherries. I was overjoyed, ate a cherry, and then picked up my ID, looking at it again and again. Silas started frowning again, seemingly disliking this. Are you daft? Don't you know to dry your hair first? The exams are right away. If you catch a cold and it affects your performance, who will you blame? Only then did I notice that the water dripping from my hair had soaked the front of my clothes. Making it a bit, he wrapped me tightly in a bath towel, muttering as he picked up the hairdryer. His calloused fingertips gently brushed my scalp. The sensation was like an electric shock, making me tremble. "What's wrong? Too hot?" He lowered the hairdryer's temperature and leaned in to ask by my ear. His strong masculine scent instantly enveloped me. Growing up, this was the first time a man had been so close to me. I trembled even more violently. "Are you afraid of me?" He stopped, the veins on the back of the hand holding the hairdryer bulging. His narrow, almond-shaped eyes looked at me with disbelief. I lowered my head. He thrust the hairdryer into my hand and turned towards the bedroom. At the doorway, he kicked the wall hard. "Dry it quickly, you're such a pain." I packed my things, ready to return to school. I just didn't know when the van he called would arrive. I stood before the bedroom door and knocked gently. "Bro Stone, I want to go back to school. When will the van get here?" He opened the door, leaning against the frame. "Don't call me Bro Stone, it sounds awful," I thought for a moment. "Silas." He patted my head. No respect for your elders, I thought of the 12,000 bride price, understood, and hesitantly called out. "Who? Husband?" Those two words felt scorching on my tongue. Silas frowned again, about to criticize me. "Leonin, has studying made you stupid? Do I, a brick-hauling roughneck, deserve to be your husband? You're going to university, you'll be a college student, you need to aim higher." His words left me a bit dazed. "Then what should I call you?" He put one hand in his pocket, an eyebrow raised. "Call me bro from now on." "Okay, bro." A horn honked outside. Silas grabbed my suitcase and called for me to go. Was he going on a long trip? Walking to the van, the man in the driver's seat greeted Silas. "Silas, is this your wife? Not bad, where are you off to this time?" "Honeymoon." Silas's voice was loud, as if afraid the villagers wouldn't hear. He took the car keys from the man and gestured for me to sit in the passenger seat. My face flushed, and I quickly got into the van. Not long after we started driving, Silas explained, "I didn't tell your parents you're going to take the exams. Keep this secret too, don't let it get messed up." "Thank you, bro." I glanced at the suitcase in the back and couldn't help asking, "Are you going to find work out of town?" "No, you're about to take your exams. I have to watch over you these few days, can't let anything go wrong. And from now on, I'm your real brother. If anything happens, I've got your back. Don't be afraid." Tears welled up in my eyes. In my 18 years of life, the warmth I felt actually came from Silas, who wasn't even related to me by blood. He glanced sideways at me, his brow furrowing again. "Hold it in." I bit my lower lip, not daring to breathe too loudly. "Don't get me wrong, it's not because of you. I rented an apartment in the city. I'm bringing my construction crew. We'll be working on sites in the city from now on." I pouted and muttered under my breath, "So fierce, you'll probably never find a wife." He glared at me impatiently. "What's the point of getting a wife? Too much trouble, better to spend the money on you." I suddenly remembered the 12,000 bride price and said with determination, "Bro, I'll pay you back the money." He smiled and shook his head. "It's an investment, understand? You have to repay me in 10 years, and just 12,000 won't cut it." The apartment he rented was a one-bedroom with a living room. A camp bed was set up in the living room. The small bedroom was also neat and tidy, with a pink bedsheet printed with Hello Kitty. I never thought a grown man like him would like pink. "Bro, I didn't expect you to like Hello Kitty too." He flicked my forehead. "This bedroom is yours." Only then did I see "exam success" pasted on the wall. I had a friend set it up last minute. "If you need anything, just let me know." He gave me a key, set his number as my emergency contact on my phone, then stuffed 50 into my hand, bought a lot of fruit, and finally took me to school. Before I entered the school gate, he patted my head. "Leonin, I really envy you." I looked up at him. The sadness in his eyes flashed and was gone, quickly replaced by his fierce demeanor. "Study hard if you get into Harvard. I'll sell everything I own to support you if you don't. I'll break your legs when you get back." After saying that, he even deliberately waved his fist to scare me. I was finally back in my paradise at school. Everyone was cramming like mad. No one dared to slack off. After all, for those of us from small county towns, the college entrance exam was the most important path out. I worked through a whole set of intense review papers, going over my mistakes again and again. Jessica Lowell, the class monitor, patted my shoulder and said, "Yanin, stop studying, relax a bit. With your grades, tell me, Harvard or Yale?" I gripped my pen tightly and replied, "Jessie, don't tease me." I didn't dare dream of Harvard or Yale, I just hoped my score would be higher, even higher. Finally, the exams arrived. On the first day, I did reasonably well in language arts and math. The teachers repeatedly warned us not to check answers, but I couldn't resist looking up the answers to the math multiple-choice questions on my phone. I got 2 wrong, which was acceptable. Just as I was secretly relieved, my phone rang. It was my mom. Actually, Silas had told me to turn off my phone during these 2 exam days, not to think about anything, and to call him if anything happened. But hearing the urgent ringing, I still answered. "Yanin, your dad had a stroke. He's dying. Come home and see your father one last time," Mom cried, completely disrupting my thoughts. "Mom, I'll be right back." I quickly called Silas. "Bro, my dad's dying. Can you take me home?" Silas was silent for a moment, then suddenly roared, "Lee Yanin, are you crazy or stupid? If your dad's dying, call 911. Why call you?" I suddenly felt he was a bit heartless. "But that's my dad." There was a hint of grievance in my tone. Even though my parents weren't good to me, I couldn't sever those blood ties. Silas continued, "Guess why your mom called you at this time? Do they know you have an exam tomorrow? If something really happened, wouldn't they tell your brother? Even if something really happened, could you bring them back to life by going back? Your future or a hypocritical family relationship? You choose. I'll have my buddy go to your house right now and see if your parents are really sick." Before I could answer, he hung up angrily. 20 minutes later, he sent me a video. The video was secretly recorded. No one was visible, only the laughter of my mom and a few ants could be heard. "I told you Yanin is soft-hearted. She'll definitely come back when she hears her dad is in trouble. That Yanin girl is quite smart. I wonder how she convinced that simpleton Silas to let her take the exams. Silas is truly a fool. No wonder he lost his parents so young." These words cut me like a knife. Silas called. "Lee Yanin, now listen to me, just do as I say. Deep breath, inhale, exhale. Recite one of your college entrance English essays for me." Muscle memory instantly kicked in. As we all know, the time of 5G technology is coming. "Good, very good now. Turn off your phone and go review your science comprehensive exam mistakes." Silas's tone was firm, his presence commanding, making me obey. But I still couldn't help asking, "Then what about my mom?" He cursed a couple of times. "Lee Yanin, you have to remember in the village you're my wife. If my father-in-law is in trouble, shouldn't I, the son-in-law, step up? Now you go study. If you dare mess up the exam because of this, see if I don't break your legs." His tone was fierce and domineering, yet somehow endearing. "By the way, don't throw away your study materials after the exam. A friend of mine wants to look at them." He hung up after saying that. The gloom in my heart vanished, and I went to revise with peace of mind. I only turned my phone back on after the exams ended. After the teacher appreciation dinner, Silas came to pick me up in the van. "How did it go?" "Harvard or Yale?" I mumbled. "It would be nice to even dream about it." He gently flicked my forehead. "Got some nerve, huh? Talking back to me." I thought he was going to scold me again, but his tone changed. "That's how Silas Stone's sister should be, with personality. Let's see who dares to bully you in the future." He used the word "our" implicitly. Growing up, I was in one camp, and my parents and brother were in another. No one had ever said "our" to me. Tears welled in my eyes. Silas glared at me, and I quickly blinked them back. Back at the rented apartment, he helped me unload my luggage, then, carrying fruits and drinks, got into the van and called me to go. "Where to?" He grinned roguishly. "To your house for something big." Though I was clueless, I felt inexplicably at ease. As soon as Silas entered the door, my mom enthusiastically took the things. "Silas, you're home. Why bring so many things?" My mom was grinning from ear to ear, but Silas remained expressionless. He stood with his feet apart, leaning back in a chair. The hairs on his legs swayed in the breeze from a nearby fan. I counted them one by one, my only amusement in the oppressive atmosphere. My mom glared at me fiercely. "Oh, did that Yanin girl make you angry? I'll teach her a lesson." With that, Mom grabbed my hair and was about to slap my face. Silas violently slammed the ashtray from the table onto the floor. "Who dares touch my wife?" My mom was frightened, and I was stunned. It wasn't until my father, who was supposedly suffering from a stroke on the phone, strode over that everyone sat down. 12,000, pay up, Silas demanded. My mom immediately exploded. "Silas, Yanin is already married to you. How can you break off the engagement?" Silas kicked the ashtray on the floor. "You know Yanin is married to me, but what guarantee do I have? She's capable now. even took the college entrance exams. If she runs off later, where am I supposed to find her? I'm not marrying her anymore, give back the money. My mom viciously pinched the soft flesh on my waist. Yanan has always been a sensible child. She won't run away, right? I nodded numbly. Unexpectedly, Silas grew even angrier, suddenly standing up, nearly flipping the table. I don't care, 12,000, not a penny less, and Yanan won't let me touch her. I'm at a huge disadvantage. If you don't pay up, I'm calling the police and accusing you of marriage fraud. My mom was so anxious she started crying. As long as you don't break off the engagement, we'll agree to any conditions you set. Only then did Silas sit down. Unless you transfer Lee Yanan's residency papers to my name. My dad said with a dark face, Yanan isn't of legal marriage age yet, it might not be possible to transfer them. This completely enraged Silas. You know Yanan just turned 18 and can't get married yet, but you still let people come and propose. If I hadn't come, were you planning to marry her off as a concubine to the richest old man in the village? You people are shameless, it's Yanan's rotten luck to be born into your family. People like you deserve to go to the 18th level of hell after you die, be fried in oil 180 times, and even the devil would think it's not enough. Silas cursed to his heart's content. My dad was weak-willed. Mom made all the decisions at home. What Mom had done was indeed wrong, and for money, she wouldn't dare breathe a word even if people pointed fingers at her. I've already inquired. Yanan's residency can be registered under my name. After Silas said this, Mom quickly replied, Okay, we'll do whatever you say. Then she hurriedly found the household registration book and handed it to Silas. He reached his hand behind his back and secretly gave me a V for victory sign. I pouted, but his face had already returned to a cold expression. Lee Yanan, even if you get into university, don't even think about running away living, you're Silas Stone's person. Dead, you're Silas Stone's ghost, let's see who dares to have any ideas about you in the future. As he said this, his gaze swept around the room, and my parents nodded repeatedly. Without even eating, Silas grabbed my sleeve and took me back to his place. He lived alone. His grandmother, Eleanor Stone, who he had depended on, had passed away a year ago. He went into the kitchen and cooked several dishes. The fat from the pork belly was rendered out, making the twice-cooked pork crispy and fragrant, not greasy at all. Actually, I had never eaten lean meat. Dominic didn't like fatty meat, so he would bite off the lean part and throw the remaining fat directly into my bowl. He also made braised pork knuckles, saying it was to wish me success in my exams, and oil and vinegar peanuts, wishing me step-by-step advancement in the future. Looking at this sumptuous dinner, I still couldn't help asking, Bro, how much do you earn a day working on the construction site? He smiled a bit helplessly. When I first started, I worked from 6 in the morning to 9 at night and could earn 30. Now I'm more skilled, I can earn 50 a day. Then how long did it take you to save that 12,000? Less than 2 years, I guess. I looked into his dark eyes, fighting back tears, and asked, Why are you so good to me? He gazed at the crescent moon in the sky, thought for a long time, and then said, When I was 5, my parents divorced, and neither of them wanted me. Grandma raised me all by herself, and I was very happy. But besides Grandma, none of my classmates or teachers liked me. In 6th grade, a boy from my class dragged me into the bushes behind the school and pulled down my pants just when I felt disgusted and helpless. A little girl with pigtails shouted, What are you doing? And that boy ran away. From then on, that little girl became a beacon of light in my life. He talked a lot, but I was so tired from the 2 days of exams that I fell asleep at the dinner table. That night, I had many dreams. I dreamt I scored over 600 points and was admitted to a top-tier university. Then I dreamt my mom tore up my admission letter, shouting at me, If you dare go to university, I'll kill myself right here. I woke up covered in sweat, crying. I immediately saw Silas, shirtless and with a stubbled face. He was gently patting my back with one hand and fanning me with a fan in the other. This was my first time spending the night at his place, and I felt a bit awkward. Yanan, your dream was quite interesting, Silas said with a smile. I smiled awkwardly and quickly changed the subject. Bro, don't call me Yanan anymore, I don't like that name. Like a magician, Silas pulled my household registration book out of his pocket, waved it and said, Come on, bro will take you to change your name. Can I change my name? Really? I jumped up in excitement. Silas was a man of action. He arranged everything methodically. I handwrote a name change application at home. He went out to print copies of my ID and residency papers. Then he accompanied me to the bank to print a personal credit report and took a 1-inch photo. At the police station, I filled out the name change application form. The reason I wrote was, homophones in my name are easily misunderstood, causing great trouble in my life and studies. Yanan, who said girls are inferior to boys. I especially hated this name. My new name was Hope Hawthorne. Hope stands for my ideals. Silas looked at the name and smiled. You will definitely live up to your ideals and live the life you dream of. After all the materials were prepared, my mom rushed over. She started wailing and making a scene. My daughter's grown up, got wings of her own. Now she even wants to change her name. Only then did I remember that one of the officers at the police station was my mom's goddaughter. My mom treated this goddaughter much better than me because she had a fortune teller tell her that acknowledging this goddaughter would boost my brother's luck. But I just couldn't understand. I had already been sold by my mom. Why wouldn't she let me go? I cried and begged my mom, "Mom, you've already made $12,000 off me. Can't you please let me go?" But she suddenly slapped me. "Yanan, why are you so selfish? I had a fortune teller check. You must be called Yanan to suppress your luck. Otherwise, you'll steal your brother's. Now you're changing your name and taking college exams. Have you no shame? If you get in, your brother's life will be ruined." Fortune tellers again, she cried and wailed, and even tried to hit me again, but Silas stopped her and pushed her to the ground. People around were pointing fingers. "Yanan, you need to be more sensible. You can't be so selfish. You have to leave a way out for your brother. If we knew you'd end up with a hooligan like this, your mom shouldn't have given birth to you, Silas. They forced me to marry him. Now that he stood up for me, it became me colluding with a hooligan. In their eyes, a village girl was ultimately to be discarded. Seeing the situation escalating, the police officers quickly came to break it up. I turned my head and gave the officer handling my name change a vague smile. "Officer, you see, my whole life is for my brother." "No." He seemed to want to explain something, but opened his mouth and said nothing. I shouted, "I really hate this name. I want to change it." The officer nodded. Silas blocked my mom, preventing her from rushing in to snatch the documents. I watched with my own eyes as my documents were compiled and submitted. On the way back, no matter how much my mom scolded, Silas would defend me. When my mom once again said I was stealing my brother's luck, I exploded. "Mom, am I even your biological daughter? Growing up, when have you ever once considered me? Was I born just to be Dominic Hawthorne's stepping stone? If so, you might as well have just strangled me at birth. That home, I never wanted to go back to it again." I ran forward desperately, tears streaming down my face, soaking my collar. Until I absolutely couldn't run anymore, I knelt on the ground and sobbed. I had lived for 18 years and had never been loved by my parents. If they didn't love me, why did they give birth to me? If I could choose, I wouldn't want to be born at all. Silas followed behind me, silent, just smoking quietly. The strong smell of smoke made me cough. He quickly stubbed out the cigarette, then held up 4 fingers, swearing to me, "If I ever smoke again, I'll turn into a puppy." I burst into laughter through my tears. Only Silas cared about my feelings. He would remember something I said for a long, long time. "Bro, didn't you say you'd help me transfer my residency to your place? Once my new name is approved, let's do it, okay?" I looked at him seriously. The setting sun cast a glow on us, his cheeks slightly flushed. "Let's wait until your admission letter arrives. Actually, transferring your residency to the university isn't a bad idea either." 5 days later, I received a call informing me that my name change application was approved and I could go get a new ID card. 8 days after that, I got my new ID. I gently caressed the name Hope Hawthorne on it, sobbing uncontrollably. Silas and I went to the apartment he rented in the county town. I accidentally discovered a small, locked bookcase in the living room. I asked Silas about it, and he told me it was left by the previous tenant. Silas had been busy working on construction sites lately, and I started thinking about earning some money too. The moment I voiced my thoughts, he berated me. "Shouldn't you be thinking about your scores? Researching universities? Looking at majors? Do you want to end up hauling bricks on a construction site like me after graduation?" But I looked at him confidently. Actually, I already estimated, over 600 points is definitely no problem. He glared at me fiercely. No working, I'll earn money to send you to university. You just stay home and research your applications. But this time, I didn't listen to him. I secretly went to a restaurant to wash dishes, earning $150 a month. In our small county town, this was already a considerable income. I wanted to go to university out of state, but the tuition was more expensive, about $580 a year. I had to work hard to save money for myself. I couldn't always rely on Silas, and I still owed him $12,000. After more than half a month of busy work, the 24th finally arrived. The results would be out in the early hours of the 25th. Neither Silas nor I slept. I kept refreshing the results query webpage. The moment the results were available, my heart pounded and my hands trembled involuntarily. Silas frowned. "Let me check," I stepped aside, holding my breath, not daring to look at the phone screen. Just as I felt I was about to suffocate, Silas suddenly picked me up and spun me around several times. My sister is amazing, 626 points, that's incredible." I wriggled out of his arms and carefully checked my scores. Language arts 126, math 124, English 135, science comprehensive 241. Provincial rank 5504. The cutoff for science stream Tier 1 universities was 509. In our state, this score should get me into a good top-tier university. And since I was from an economically disadvantaged county, I could also apply through the early admission program. Silas spent $80 to hire a consultant specializing in university applications for me. We finally settled on 5 top-tier universities in a neighboring state. Silas spent more and more time at the construction site, but he would still discuss universities with me when he came back at night. "Hope, your family doesn't know the password to your application account, do they?" My heart leaped. I was afraid I'd forget the password, so I had written it in my diary. That diary should still be at home. I quickly logged into the application website, only to find that all my choices had been changed to XX Teachers College. At that moment, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It turned out the biggest stumbling block on my path in life was my own family. I really didn't ask for anything from my parents, only that when I was striving towards the light, they wouldn't drag me back into darkness again and again. I changed my password and then changed my choices back. On the last day of the application period, Silas watched me log into the website and use up all my modification chances. After all this, I just wanted to quietly wait for the admission results. The July sun was scorching and fierce. Silas went to the construction site every day, his skin tanned to a wheat color, his arms peeling several times. I kept it from him and continued washing dishes at the restaurant, until one day we had a big fight. Silas came home at noon to get some tools and found I wasn't there. He called me, but my phone was on silent and I didn't pick up. Worried that I might have been harmed by my family, he searched for me like a madman. It wasn't until after 4 in the afternoon that I saw the messages. I called him, explained briefly, and then continued washing the mountains of dishes. I got home after 10 p.m. His brow was furrowed, his eyes fixed on me, but he said nothing. I used to be afraid of him, but not anymore. "Bro, this is the silent treatment. I don't like it," his frown deepened. "Didn't I say I'd earn your tuition and you should prepare for university at home? Why don't you listen?" "But I can't rely on you forever. Didn't you say that destiny should be in one's own hands?" I said to him with a smile. I didn't want to always be asking him for things. That way, I would never be able to hold my head high in front of Silas. I didn't say this out loud. I had my pride too. Saying it wouldn't be good for anyone. And I knew Silas had been preparing for the mature student entry exams. One night, while he was asleep, I found the key and secretly opened that bookcase. It was full of high school study materials, densely packed with notes, which shocked me. He had originally planned to take next year's college entrance exam as a mature student, but my sudden appearance had disrupted his plans. He had always been striving upwards. I absolutely couldn't hold him back. Silas sighed deeply. "Bro knows you have high aspirations, but right now, at least as you approach your dream, I hope you can give it your all. Don't worry about the tuition fees, I've already prepared them." With that, he handed me a bank card. "It's expensive out of state. Is $300 a month enough from bro?" There's $2,000 in here for tuition and your first semester's living expenses. Don't skimp. I later found out that during that time, Silas had worked as a scaffolder. Working at heights of dozens of meters, just watching videos of it made my legs weak. He persisted for a whole month. However, he never told me any of this. I took the card and brought all the high school notes I had organized to Silas. Bro, I don't need these notes anymore. See if you can help me sell them. That night, he looked through my notes, busy until 2 or 3 in the morning. And I, in the next room, tossed and turned, unable to sleep, casually browsing an online QA forum. Suddenly, I saw a question. What is it like to experience parental favoritism? I typed out 2,000 words on my phone. Before the college entrance exams, my mom sold me for $12,000 to a rough construction worker. Just because taking the exams would steal my brother's luck, preventing him from getting into a good university. The next morning, I opened the forum and found the comments already showed 99. Someone comforted me in the comments. Perhaps your fate with your parents is shallow, but you must believe in the law of conservation of energy. You will meet many, many people who love you. This rough guy is the first. Someone expressed empathy. The sentence I hate most is, you're the older sister, can't you just let him have his way since he's younger? Someone expressed doubt. Do such malicious parents really exist in the world? Someone affirmed. The poster's story is more exciting than a novel. I used to disbelieve stories about favoring boys over girls, but now I believe it. Indeed, life is stranger than fiction. It suddenly occurred to me that perhaps I could adapt my story into a novel. The more I thought about it, the more excited I became. I revised the story, making myself the female lead and Silas the male lead, and then submitted it, of course. I didn't tell him any of this. Later, I never went back to washing dishes, because the admission letter arrived. I got into Newton University, just as I wished. I needed to go back to my hometown to handle some paperwork. I hadn't planned on Silas accompanying me, but he still took leave from the construction site and drove me home in the van. I needed to get some certificates from the village council for applying for student loans and scholarships. But unexpectedly, as soon as we reached the village entrance, I heard the crackling of firecrackers, which startled me. My parents were beating gongs and drums. My 15-year-old brother, Dominic Hawthorne, followed behind them looking timid. They had even invited my great-grandfather, Eldred Hawthorne. Great-grandpa was 102 years old, the eldest patriarch of the Hawthorne family. Great-grandpa grabbed my hand. Yanin, you are the first in our Hawthorne family to get into a prestigious university. You've brought honor to our family. Ha ha ha, come. Let everyone see your admission letter. I didn't understand their meaning at first and subconsciously clutched my bag. Silas stood beside me, looking like he would fight anyone who dared to snatch it. My mom walked up to me and said in a low voice, Yanin, I had the fortune teller check. As long as Dominic holds your admission letter and kowtows to the ancestors in the ancestral hall, your luck can be transferred to him. Mom is begging you. My mom would truly do anything for her son. This request wasn't actually too outrageous. I could accept it. Just as I was about to nod, Silas's hand rested on my shoulder. Go to the ancestral hall? Great, let the Hawthorne ancestors see how amazing our hope is. He pulled me to walk in front, with gongs and drums sounding loudly behind us, creating a festive scene. But at the entrance of the ancestral hall, my mom stopped me. Yanin, you can't go in. Give the letter to Dominic, let him go in. I suddenly remembered when I was 9, 6-year-old Dominic was entered into the family register, and the village held a grand ceremony. I had asked my mom, Mommy, why can Dominic be in the family register, but I can't? My mom said fiercely, You're just a deadweight, even I can't get into the family register, and you think you can. Later, I learned that girls in the village were inherently not allowed in the family register or the ancestral hall. This patriarchal mindset had been passed down for generations and was taken for granted by everyone. I clutched the admission letter tightly, refusing to let go. I'm the Hawthorne son-in-law, surely I can go in. Silas smiled faintly, a smile that always made me think he was up to no good. My mom didn't stop him this time. She pushed Dominic, holding my letter, to go in with Silas. Just as Dominic knelt, Silas suddenly knocked over the offerings. In less than 30 seconds, all the candlesticks and offerings in the ancestral hall were scattered on the floor. Using my wife's admission letter to gain face for your son. Have you no shame? Silas was tall and broad-shouldered, his biceps bulging. His recent work on the construction site had tanned his skin dark, making him look like a tough, reckless youth not to be trifled with. Moreover, he had somehow called 4 or 5 of his good buddies, who stood at the entrance of the ancestral hall like bodyguards. Most of the people at the ancestral hall were middle-aged or elderly and didn't dare to make a move, only watching helplessly as Silas created a ruckus. Finally, my dad and 2 uncles symbolically tried to stop him, and only then did Silas cease. After coming out, he pointed at the people behind him and said, "If anyone dares to take advantage of my wife or leech off her again, I will never forgive them." With that, he grabbed my hand and ran. Panting, I asked him, "Why run so fast?" He gently flicked my forehead again. "Are you stupid? What if they came to their senses and chased me with tools?" I said sarcastically, "So you do no fear. I thought you were some kind of invincible hero, afraid of nothing. Turns out you're just a cheeky monkey." He flicked my forehead again, and I pretended to hit him. This July was truly sweet. However, the village also gained a reputation for having an ungrateful brat and a daredevil hooligan. I took my documents to the village council and got them stamped. Then Silas and I went to the police station in our registered district. I had made up my mind to transfer my residency to the university. If I couldn't change my family of origin, couldn't change my parents' views, then I would choose to stay away. With my admission letter, household registration book, and ID card, I obtained a residency transfer certificate at the police station. Then I contacted the school in advance and changed my name in the academic affairs system. From now on, I was no longer Lee Yanin. I was Hope Hawthorne, independent and living for myself. I contacted my brother, Dominic, and gave him the household registration book. He seemed a bit afraid of me, standing far away. I stuffed 20 into his hand. "Dominic, sis is leaving. This home is yours now. Study hard, get into a good university, and go see the wider world." His eyes gradually reddened. Before I left, he said softly, "Sis, I'm sorry, I didn't hate him. My parents paved the way for him. It was their choice, he had no say. But I couldn't help but resent him a little, as he was, after all, the beneficiary." I stood there, stunned, not knowing how to respond. Silas walked up and patted Dominic's shoulder. "Study hard, don't let your sister's efforts go to waste." I sat in the passenger seat of the van, tears streaming down my face. "From now on, I have no home." Silas scratched his buzz cut, looking somewhat agitated. "Hope, have you never considered me family?" He suddenly slammed on the accelerator and the van shot forward. I leaned closer to his profile. "Bro, are you angry?" He stared straight ahead, but his eyes involuntarily glanced at me, his face blushing all the way to his neck. After arriving in the provincial capital, Silas didn't let me work anymore. He spent over $300 to enroll me in driving school. "If you don't get your license in 2 months, I'll break your legs." He pretended to be angry, which was actually quite amusing. "Bro, I didn't get into Harvard or Yale. Do you want to break my legs now?" My words choked him up. Silas froze for a long moment, then picked up the flip-flop from his foot, feigning to hit me. I seized the chance and hooked my arm around his neck. "Bro, why are you so good to me? Do you like me?" A flicker of panic crossed his eyes, and then he pushed my hand away. "I treat you well because I want to. Got a problem with that? You can keep your opinions to yourself. What does a little kid like you know about liking someone? Always talking about it. If you say, like, so casually again, I'll rip your mouth apart." He was very fierce. I stopped teasing and started thinking about practicing at the driving school. Silas tossed me an exquisite paper bag. "I found this outside here. It's for you." Inside the bag were a bottle of sunscreen, a pair of cooling sleeves, and a sun hat. He was quite thoughtful. After dropping me off at the driving school in the van, Silas went to the construction site. While practicing driving, I wrote a novel based on us. Mr. Harrison, my high school form teacher, found me an online one-on-one tutor, 3 per hour, 3 hours a day. My life was busy and fulfilling. 10 days later, I took my Subject 2 driving test. First attempt, I stalled on the hill start. Second attempt, I timed out on the hill start. Subject 2 lasted only 3 minutes and I failed. I became the student with the shortest test time at the driving school. I returned to the driving school dejectedly. Chad Stevens, the coach's son, came over to console me. Chad was a year older than me, a first-year university student on summer break. After learning I got into Newton University, he became very attentive. He offered me water and snacks, all of which I politely declined. Unbeknownst to me, Silas was standing behind us. I jumped up excitedly. "Bro, you're finally here to pick me up," Chad glanced at Silas. "And you are? I'm Hope's brother." Silas didn't give Chad a chance to speak, grabbed my arm and pulled me away. "Bro, you can break my legs now. I failed subject 2. I looked at him pitifully, but he didn't even glance at me. "Too busy falling in love, were you? Bro, are you jealous?" I smiled and tugged his arm. He suddenly picked me up. After returning to the rented apartment, Silas busied himself cooking for me. I opened the submission platform and received an official private message. "Congratulations, your submitted work has passed the initial review." And so, before university started, I embarked on the path of writing. I had also escaped my family of origin. Everything seemed to be heading in a good direction. I registered for the Subject 2 exam. Chad was at the driving school every day, often criticizing my driving. "Hope, the S-curve should be like this. Don't go so slow uphill. Listen to me, this is for your own good," he nagged incessantly, always disrupting my rhythm. A girl practicing with me whispered, "Does Chad like you? He's so nice to you, even giving you one-on-one coaching." I found him a bit repulsive. I disliked people who lacked boundaries. That evening, after finishing practice, I was waiting for Silas to pick me up. Chad walked up to me with a smirk. "Hope, do you know what I like about you?" I froze. He continued, "You're very naive and hardworking. You're a good match for me." Actually, before knowing I was a prospective Newton University student, Chad hadn't said a single word to me. "Oh, so what?" I replied casually. "I'll give you a chance, be my girlfriend, you see. My dad is a driving school coach. He can give you—" My eyes darted around, finally spotting Silas hiding around the corner. I ran over, linked my arm through his, and dragged him in front of Chad. "I have a boyfriend." Chad was somewhat shocked. "Isn't he your brother? And he works on my granduncle's construction site? Just a peasant laborer. How is he good enough for you?" Silas tried to pull his arm back, but I held on tightly, intertwining our fingers. "See, he's not only my brother but also my future husband. What's wrong with being a laborer? We earn our own money. What's it to you?" Chad's face completely contorted. "I must have been blind to have fallen for you. A tramp like you deserves a loser like him. Watch your mouth." Silas raised his fist to hit Chad, scaring him so much he fell to the ground. I stopped Silas. "Bro, don't dirty our hands because of trash like him. Let's report him. This is sexual harassment of a student." Although Chad's dad was a driving school coach, the school wasn't his family's business. We reported the incident to the driving school manager. The next day, the manager and Coach Stevens apologized to us in person, and I was assigned a female coach. Everyone at the driving school knew about Chad's behavior. Later, he was banned from the driving school. However, after that, Silas always avoided me in the rented apartment. He worked on the construction site during the day and stayed up late studying at night. I never asked him about the mature student entry exams. After all, he hadn't brought it up. Perhaps he had his own plans. But I still wanted to do something for him. The day after I got my driver's license, I received my first manuscript payment, $600. Silas took me to a popular burger joint. In our small county town, it was considered a pretty good restaurant. He held my hand down and ordered nearly 10 worth of food. "Hope, eat more, grow strong, and make lots of friends at university." He patted my head, a tender smile completely at odds with his rough exterior. "Bro, a classmate of mine wants to retake his exams, but he doesn't know where to go. Can you help him choose?" His eyes lit up. "Tell me about it." "The first is a private high school here. They accept repeat students and have a zero basis class, which seems suitable for him. After all, my classmate only scored 100-something on the exams and barely studied for 3 years of high school. The second is a tutoring center. Their teachers are also quite good, but we haven't dealt with them before, so we're worried about being scammed." "Bro, what do you think we should choose?" Silas hesitated for a long while before saying, "I think either could work." I slapped my thigh. "I think so too. It's so hard to decide. We kids don't know how to choose, and his parents don't care about him. It's really difficult." "Bro, how about you help us make a call and ask? You're an adult, you definitely won't be scammed." Silas agreed. Actually, I had already made arrangements. The private high school class was taught by my former form teacher, Mr. Harrison. They had fast and slow tracks. The slow track was mainly for students starting from scratch. I had asked Mr. Harrison, mature students could also join, just without official enrollment, and the tuition would be slightly higher. The tutoring center was good in all aspects, except for being expensive. I had spoken to both sides. If someone asked, the tuition would be halved and I would cover the rest. Mr. Harrison, knowing our situation, also agreed. The tutoring center teacher, eager for enrollment, also agreed. Those few days, Silas was always humming at home. I teased him, "Bro, what's the good news?" "You're so happy actually. Mr. Harrison had just told me that Silas decided to join the slow track, tuition free. I would help him cover the remaining fees and procedures." Silas stopped humming and gently flicked my forehead. "Because you're going to university," I put my hands on my hips. "Hey, Silas Stone, are you just trying to get rid of me quickly?" It was the first time I had called him by his full name. It felt a bit different. He frowned. "Hope, why do your words cut like a knife?" "I was just thinking that when you go to the big city, you can see the world and start a new life." All right, I know I was wrong." My fingers gently touched his forehead, trying to smooth out his wrinkles. "Silas, you have to miss me a lot when I'm gone. Wait for me to come back during winter break." The atmosphere was a bit delicate. Silas's large hand suddenly grasped mine. The calluses on his hand made my heart tingle. In less than 3 seconds, he let go. "Why aren't you calling me bro anymore? No respect for your elders." I smiled and ran into the bedroom, making a face at him from the doorway. "Hey, I just don't want to call you that, Silas Stone, Silas Stone." Then I closed the door. Leaning against the door, my heart was pounding, because I didn't want to be his sister anymore. September arrived quickly. Silas stuffed 50 and a pile of loose change into my hand, then saw me off on the train. He quietly stepped onto a high school campus. After arriving at university, I applied for a student loan. I worked part-time in the dormitory, responsible for cleaning the hallways every week, earning $60 a month. I also worked as a tutor, charging $7 per hour. Thanks to my good exam scores, I also received various scholarships and grants from the university. I was still writing, and manuscript fees came in every month. Silas would occasionally send me money online, always reminding me, "Don't be too frugal at school, bro has plenty of money. If it's not enough, just ask me." But he didn't know that I hadn't touched a cent of the $2,000 he gave me. Occasionally, I would talk to Mr. Harrison on the phone. He told me, "Silas is a very quick learner. He quickly stood out in the slow track class. It's a pity he didn't go to high school back then, otherwise, he would have been the pride of the school long ago." I knew all this, because when Silas was in 9th grade, he was first in his year. I was only in 6th grade then, and often saw him receiving awards and giving speeches under the national flag. I didn't know why he gave up high school. Winter came quickly, and I started planning my trip back to see Silas. Unexpectedly, I received a call from my mom. I didn't want to answer, but I pressed the accept button. "It's all your fault, you ungrateful brat. You stole Dominic's luck. Now Dominic's grades are bad, it's all your fault." She yelled and dragged in family elders. Her words were very harsh. Maybe she forgot. She was my mother. I pressed the mute button and rubbed my temples. Half an hour later, the call ended. "This snow is so beautiful. I had planned to go back to see Silas during winter break, but I was worried about delaying his revision progress, so I went back during the New Year holiday. At the train station, I saw Silas, whom I hadn't seen for 4 months. He was still as tall and straight as ever, 6 feet tall, with broad shoulders and narrow hips, standing out in the crowd. I rushed over and threw myself into his arms, jumped up, and wrapped my legs around his waist. "Silas, miss me?" He hoisted me onto his shoulder. No respect for your elders, still not calling me bro. In an instant, I felt like I was back on the day he bought me for $12,000. He was like a beam of light, illuminating the darkness of my 18 years. I laughed like a fool on his shoulder. He patted me once before putting me down. "Let me see, have you lost weight?" I stood on tiptoe, pinched his face with my hands, and said, "Let me see, have you lost weight?" Without the harsh sun, his face had become much fairer. The blush that had just appeared on his cheeks was particularly noticeable. He grabbed my hand and quickly made me put it down, saying, "You're a grown-up girl now, don't be like this. You still need to find a boyfriend in the future." I started acting coquettishly with him. "I have my bro, why would I need a boyfriend? It's too much trouble." He flicked my forehead, smiled without saying anything, and let me fool around. I stayed home for 2 days and then hurriedly returned to school. During winter break, I applied to stay on campus. Research and various part-time jobs filled my life. I thought I would have a peaceful winter break and New Year, but unexpectedly, my mom came. I first heard the news on the university's online confessions page. "There's an auntie at the north gate looking for her daughter. Hopefully, the student will meet her if she sees this." The accompanying picture was of my mom kneeling on the ground, crying loudly. There were many comments below. "I heard this daughter ran away with all the family's money. The auntie is crying so pitifully at the gate. Is her name Hope Hawthorne? Does anyone know her? It couldn't be one of our classmates, could it?" I met my mom at the north gate. As soon as she saw me, she pounced on me, hitting and cursing. "Ungrateful brat, give Dominic's luck back," I called the police. At the police station, I found out the truth. It was that same fortune teller again who said that to improve her son's luck, my luck had to be transferred to him. The first step in the transfer was to make me unlucky, to ruin my reputation. Only my mom would believe such deceptive nonsense. When I was little, my mom was unwilling to buy me a 5-cent popsicle, but was willing to spend 20 to find a fortune teller to read Dominic's fortune. Later, it became more and more outrageous. 50, 100, 200. After understanding the truth, the police kept trying to reason with my mom. My dad and Dominic also came, but my mom was impervious to reason. She wouldn't listen to anyone. Dominic suddenly knelt on the ground with a thud. "Mom, I'm begging you, stop pressuring sis. My bad grades are my problem. If you keep forcing sis, I'll bang my head and kill myself." As he spoke, he was about to bang his head on the table. My mom was terrified and quickly hugged him. My dad also came forward, and the three of them hugged and cried. "What a sin, why did I give birth to you, an ungrateful brat of a sister?" It felt like my mom had suffered more grievances than I had. I laughed. Wasn't this a sin? Growing up, I always seemed to be the superfluous one, but what did it matter? Now, I didn't care at all. The ridiculous things they did, I just found them amusing. "Hope, I'm here." In an instant, I plunged into a warm embrace. The familiar scent instantly enveloped me tightly. I felt as if I had come back to life. Tears streamed down uncontrollably. "Silas, why are you here?" He carried me horizontally, finished discussing follow-up matters with the police officer, and then took me home. That night, Dominic sent me a text message. "Sis, Mom won't bother you anymore, don't worry." I smiled bitterly, turned off my phone, and cried my heart out in Silas's arms. After crying, everything seemed to usher in a new beginning. From now on, regarding my family of origin, I only planned to be a detached observer. He solemnly told me about the mature student entry exams. I pretended I had just heard about it, looking at him with a face full of admiration. "Silas, you're amazing, I like you so much." I wanted to rub my face against his, but he separated us with his large hand. When we are at our lowest, if someone gives us a hand, it's easy to mistake gratitude for affection. "Hope, you've grown up. I hope you can look forward and find someone you truly like." I immediately put on a carefree smile and repeated his words. "Silas, you've grown up. I hope you look forward and find someone you truly like." He frowned and reached out to flick my forehead. This time, I dodged it and accurately flicked him back. During winter break, he was desperately cramming and memorizing. I was constantly writing, and writing some more. Winter passed and spring arrived. Silas entered the fast track class. I joined the university's new media department. Spring passed and summer arrived. Silas achieved first place in the 3rd mock exam. I joined a professor's team and began participating in research projects. Another year, another college entrance exam day. I stood outside the familiar school, waiting for Silas. The moment the exam-ending bell rang, sunlight flooded the earth, and Silas ran towards me, radiating light. No matter how far apart we were, we would eventually meet. Silas scored 606. He applied to the architecture department at my university. The night he received his admission letter, I secretly snuck into his bed. He wrapped me up in the blanket like a burrito and tossed me onto my little pink bed. "Hope, I'm your brother. You deserve better. I'm not good enough." I gritted my teeth in frustration. "Fine, I'll settle accounts with you when school starts." On the day of new student registration, I found 5 male students, all over 6 feet tall, to welcome Silas. Well, Junior, need some help from your senior. Silas looked at the guys behind me, his fist tightening around his suitcase handle, veins bulging on the back of his hand. No, thanks, I blocked him. Junior, you can't be impolite. You have to call me Senior. His lips trembled, and he called out in a low voice, Senior. His voice was hoarse yet carried a hint of coolness, like an iced cola with fizz, putting me in a particularly good mood. Silas Stone, your university life has just begun. I don't believe you'll willingly just be my brother. Sooner or later, I'm going to win you over. Silas's perspective. A dark valley, closed off for many years, once light penetrates, the darkness is instantly dispelled. Lee Yanin was my beacon of light. When I was 5, my parents divorced, and I became a burden no one wanted. After my mother left, my father sent me to my grandmother, Eleanor Stone, in the countryside. That day, I cried my heart out. Even the neighbor's 2-year-old child came to watch. She used her small, tender hand to wipe away my tears, saying in a childish voice, "Don't cry, big brother." Later, I learned her name was Lee Yanin. In elementary school, I didn't talk much and never fit in with my classmates. Everyone called me a silent gourd. A few boys in class always bullied me. One day after school, 3 boys dragged me into the bushes behind the school, pulled down my pants, and did some disgusting things to me. Just then, a clear shout came, "What are you doing?" Those boys ran off. Lee Yanin, with 2 pigtails sticking up, ran to me. I hastily pulled up my pants, terrified she would see my shameful state. In middle school, my parents remarried. I thought good days were finally coming. However, in my 9th grade year, my parents died in a car accident, leaving behind a large debt. Debt collectors found Grandma and smashed everything in our house. Grandma had to dig for medicinal herbs on the mountain and collect scraps to make ends meet. After graduating from middle school, I decided to go to work. Although Grandma slapped me, she couldn't change my mind. That night, I stood by the courtyard wall and heard Lee Yanin, just a wall away, reciting her lessons. She silently told herself, "Yanin, you must study hard and leave this small mountain village." I started doing odd jobs on construction sites. At first, I only earned a few dollars a day, then it gradually increased to over 10, then over 20. After working for 5 or 6 years, I could earn $50 or $60 a day. I saved $13,000, preparing to go home and take the mature student entry exams. That year, I was 21. Alone, as long as I could feed myself, it was time to work hard for myself. As soon as I got home, I heard that my neighbor, Mr. Hawthorne, was going to marry Lee Yanin off. She was only 18, about to take her college entrance exams. How could her future be ruined? I was willing to offer a $10,000 bride price. To get Lee Yanin back to her exams as soon as possible, I added another $1,000. I didn't expect Mrs. Hawthorne to be so greedy, insisting on $12,000. Fortunately, everything went smoothly in the end, and she could finally take her exams. I helped her change her name, transfer her residency, and sent her to university. From then on, she was Hope Hawthorne, living for herself, and I was her only family. She always had "I like you" on her lips, but I knew I didn't deserve this affection. She was a student at a prestigious university with a wider world ahead of her. I couldn't be a burden to her. I only hoped she could live the life she dreamed of. I tried hard to hide my feelings for her, but she kept getting closer, making it hard for me to resist. I finally signed up for the mature student entry exams. If I could get into her university, would there still be a chance? I got in. We will eventually meet at a higher place. Hope's epilogue. Growing up, I was always surrounded by various opinions. What's the use of girls studying? They still have to get married when they grow up. Studying so much, you still earn less than manual laborers. Studying turns you into a bookworm, completely ignorant of worldly affairs. But I remained steadfast in my studies. I knew that for the poor, studying could truly change one's life. And for a girl like me, abandoned by her parents, studying could truly give me a new lease on life. Before I started studying, I always accepted the ideas my parents instilled in me. I was born to live for my brother. I even thought everyone was like that. Even if it was painful, I would do as my parents demanded. But thankfully, I met Silas and could continue my studies. So long as I carry on, I can continually scrutinize my grief and continually confront my ignorance, my narrow-mindedness, my biases, my darkness. This quote from Camus resonated strongly with me. I found the root of my pain and actively sought to change, to reshape myself, to grasp my own happiness. So, to you who are about to take your college entrance exams, please work hard for yourself, again and again, never give up. One day, you will be able to rescue yourself from the difficulties of this world and meet the best version of yourself at a higher place.